back to the shop, Fabrication Nation. We're actually today, welcome to the field. This is the future site of the baddest swing set you can think of. I decided to go ahead and build a swing set for my kids, and we were gonna buy one. I was looking online, I was looking at different styles, different models. I was looking at do-it-yourself kits. I was looking at pre-fabricated, you can just buy and install. I was looking at custom stuff, just a little bit of everything, and I really just couldn't find anything that I thought was worth the money, or anything that I really liked, or anything that was built the way that I wanted it to be built. The whole swing set market is pretty cheap, pretty cheaply made stuff, and it's really tough to find anything that's quality out there. I would suspect you might be able to find somebody to custom build you one, but then that starts getting very, very expensive. So I figured I'm just gonna build myself one. I'm gonna build it out of metal, since metal is my specialty, and I'm comfortable with metal, more comfortable with metal than wood. I decided to go ahead and build the whole thing out of metal, and then I'll go back and add wood pieces to it as I go. The neat thing about this is I'm starting with a swing set first. So the swing set itself is going to be 20 feet long, and I'm going to build everything, base everything off of that. So we'll start with the swing set. I'm going to lay it out. I'm going to dig the holes and pour the concrete bases for it. And then as time goes on, as I get more money and I can afford more parts and I get more time to be able to build more structures, I'm going to build out from that original swing set. My plans are where that grass patch is over there, that's where the actual clubhouse, treehouse, I don't know what you would call it, but the house portion of the swing set would be. So my trailer was sitting there, and so we didn't get to mow it, but now I got a good visual of where the tree house, so the tree set's gonna be. And then off to the side of that is where we're gonna build the actual swing set. So I'm going to go ahead and mark everything out, where the swing set that I'm gonna build now, where it's gonna be, dig the holes. The holes have to be precise, pretty precise. So I got it measured out to where I want, and the holes are gonna be 5 feet apart, 5 by 10. So 5 feet from each other, and then 10 feet apart. So I have to keep in mind whenever I build the swing set that the legs have to be exactly 5 by 10 apart from each other as well. Otherwise my concrete bases won't match up. Now ideally, you probably would want to build the structure first, get it in place, mark it, and then dig your holes. But I'm a little impatient. I want to go ahead and dig the holes, allow them to cure, set up real nice, and then whenever the structure is complete, come back, set it on top, and it's ready to anchor, bolt in place. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and lay everything out, and then once I get it laid out, I'm going to mow that patch over there.
What, mow?
Okay, I got everything laid out. I got everything marked. When you're gonna lay out a square or a rectangle, you always have to measure the cross section of it. The reason why is because it makes sure that not only is it even from one point to the other, but it's not cocked one way or the other. So if you think about a square, if you think every corner had its hinge, it could all 5 and 10 and 5 and 10 would all match up, but it could all be kind of cocked one way or the other. So that's why you gotta you measure it crossways so that that square is perfectly centered or perpendicular or whatever. And I was off the first time, so I measured 10 feet from one point to the other point, but then when I measured 5 feet from one point to the other point, it was off. It was off by about 1.5 feet, and that's because I didn't square it up first. But it gave me a good reference line so that I could get it all squared up. So it all worked out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hammer some stakes in place. I'm going to hammer that rebar in place so that I know exactly where the center is, even as I dig this up, because I'm going to dig about a 2-foot hole or so. But I'll keep driving that stake down so that as I take the dirt out, I know exactly where the center is, and then whenever I come back to add the concrete, I know exactly where the center of the concrete should be. So we'll go ahead and get that done, and then I've got 4 big holes to dig, so I'll probably be here a while. All right, that was some work. I got the hole dug. The hole is about a foot down, a foot deep, and about a foot and a half wide, and it's going to be about a foot and a half total length, and it's going to come up probably about 6 inches or so off the ground, because I do want it to be, I want the bases to stick out a little bit. This centering rod here worked out really well. It was a little tough to dig around, but I know where my exact center is. The only thing is I probably should have got longer ones, because I am going to need to run a rope from this side to the other side, or a line, so that I can level everything up and make sure that one mounting pad is level to another mounting pad, so that the overall swing itself is level total. So all 4 of these will have to be completely level before I pour them. All right, I got 3 more to do. I won't make you sit through it, so I'll come back. This is probably going to be it for today. I'll get these dug, probably go grab some supplies, and I'll call it a day. So I guess we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching F8N. Please like, share, subscribe. Good night. Welcome to the shop, F8N. We are on day 2 of the Super Swing Set build, and I've got several things here. I bought this stuff from Home Depot. This is like a handlebar set. This is a swing set, and then these are the hinges that mount up to the top of the top post there. I got all this stuff so that I could get some measurements, and I was going to use it, but I decided taking it all back. So I got 2 swing sets, handlebars, and then 3 of these hinges here, and it was like $260. And then after I got to looking at it, it's just not really that good of stuff. The quality, I mean, it's okay, but it's not great. For instance, these swings, the chains on them are not very long. I'm gonna have to extend them if I use these. I'm just gonna buy some offline. They're 9-foot chains. I don't have to extend them, they're ready to go. So that's one thing I didn't like about these. This handlebar kit, it's not bad, but I think it's also a little short on the chain. And then I was really disappointed by these. These things were like $40 a piece, I think, $35 or $40 a piece. And I was expecting them to be really nice and have some kind of like bearing or something in here, some kind of a bushing, maybe even like a brass or something. But when I got to looking at it, I'll show you, there's nothing in there. All it is this round eye thing with a bolt through it. And as this wears down, it'll wear through the threads of that bolt. I'm sure this will work just fine, and it'll work well, but for $40, it's just not worth it. You get 2 of these in a set, it's not worth 40 bucks. Also, I was going to drill and tap the holes for both of these into the beam. And because you have 2 holes, you have to be very precise with your holes, because if you're off just a little bit, your bolt won't fit or it'll bind up. So that makes it a little bit more difficult. Now I can do it on the mill, it's not a problem. It just takes a little bit more time and more precision. So I'm just gonna scratch all that, and I'm gonna go with a single eye bolt that you can get from Ace Hardware. I'll probably do like a 1/2-inch eye bolt, and it's 1 bolt in the center. I'll thread and tap it, and then I'll screw that eye bolt in, and then I'll lock it down with the lock nut. And so it won't go anywhere, and it's gonna be just as good as this thing here. And I could do that for probably less than 10 bucks. So that's what we're gonna do. Taking all this stuff back, I'm gonna order industrial stuff offline, and I'm gonna tap each hole with a single eye bolt and save myself a lot of money. So. All right, yesterday I was in the shop, and I got all the metal laid out, I got one piece cut, I'll show you over here. But I literally spent like 2, maybe even 3 hours just getting things laid out and laying out on, I got a 20-foot stick here on the floor, and just laying out on the floor here where I wanted each section or each item or accessory of the swing set to go. It took me a long time because I wanted it to be perfect. I was coming up with all different kinds of ideas, and I just couldn't make them fit on 20 feet. So 20 feet looks big and it looks long, but when you start getting items in there and start spacing them out, you really can't fit as much as you think you can in there. Now, on those cheap swing sets that you can buy in the stores, one of the things that makes them cheap is that they put all of their accessories really close together. So you're looking at 2 swing sets, actual swings that are maybe 6 inches apart from each other. And those are made for little kids that are not gonna be swinging crazy. They're just kind of rocking back and forth. And I didn't want that. So I tried to identify and look up proper spacing specs. The best thing that I could find was 20 inches, which is about that far. And so I went ahead and did 24 inches. I just went 2 feet even. I thought 2 feet even. Once I did that, it really took up a lot of space. So I dropped it back down to 20 so that I could fit everything on there. And I was still having trouble with 20 inches, 20-inch spacing all the way through. Still having trouble fit everything. And you gotta keep in mind that this is, I'm using 4x4 square tubing. So that alone takes up 8 inches of the whole 20-foot length. So I finally got it figured out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a cantilever system on both sides. Originally it was only going to be one side. Now I'm going to use it on both sides of the swing set. And what that means is, just like my hoist up here, I'll show you. So how you can see my hoist right there is sticking off to the side, and then I could lift anything off that side that I want to. We're going to do the swing set just like that, except on one side it's going to be a tire swing, and then on the other side it's going to be a adult swing. Not that kind of adult swing. I'm sorry. It's going to be a 2-person swing for grown-ups. So that's what we're going to do on that side. So let me go ahead and show you. I got it on the ground here, and I'll show you what I got laid out. Here's a section I cut up yesterday, and I did this. I cut it in half, so those are 10 feet legs. And I did this so I could get my spacing, so I could understand where I wanted these legs to fit, and then how tall it ultimately was going to be. And this is where the 5 foot measurement comes. So each leg is going to be 5 feet on center, from one center of the leg to the other center of the leg. And then I'm going to place, once I get these welded up, this one from the other leg on this beam, they're going to be 10 feet apart. So right here is where the tire swing is going to go. I'm going to mount it right here on the end. And I think I might have went a little overkill, because this is 3/16, so it's just right under a 1/4 inch thick steel tubing. And this stuff is heavy. And I might have overdone it, but originally I was thinking this is going to be a 20-foot span. I don't want it bowing in the middle, and I want to make sure this thing is strong and solid, because we're going to be building more things in the future off of this set here. So I wanted to make sure that this was really solid, so that we can expand this whole thing out. But this is really thick stuff. We'll see how it works, and then if I need to lighten it up on another section or so, I will, but probably not. I want this thing to last forever. I want my kids and my grandkids to be able to enjoy this for the rest of our life. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to mount the tire swing off the center right here. So the tire swing, this is kind of nice, will actually stick out where there's no obstruction all the way on this side. And then I measured it. It's that tire swing. The tire itself is 4.5 feet wide, and it'll come out about this far right here. And then this is where the first leg will be, or set of legs will be. And then we have our first swing set will be from here to here. Our second swing set's going to be on this side from here to here. Now in the middle is where I was having trouble because I don't have the clearance. If I was to put another swing set here or a handlebar or whatever, I would only have about 6-inch clearance from one set to the other. And I really didn't want that. It would work. And this is what took me the most amount of time to figure out was what I was going to do here. So what I came up with is I'm going to ditch the double mounting points. There's no need for it. And I needed to figure out some type of accessory I could mount in the center. Now you could say, yeah, we could do a rope or something like that, but I'm already going to do a rope and we'll talk about that in a minute. And I didn't want another rope. So what I decided to do is make I think they call it like a foot swing or something. So I'll have a single mounting point here, and then I'll have a solid bar that drops all the way down. And at the bottom of that bar, I'll have a small tire that will I'll have a small tire that will mount to the bottom of that pole. Now that might be a little hard to imagine. So the tire itself will be mounted like flat, and then you could stand on top of that tire and hold on to that pole, and you could swing back and forth. So that's kind of what I came up with, and I think that's what we're going to do. It'll be something kind of cool and different. Then over here is where the adult swing is going. So I think this is like 4 feet. No, it's about 5 feet off the end here. And what I'm going to do is some type of swing. I'm debating right now on what it's going to be. It's going to span where it connects 4 feet wide. So there'll be a connection point here and a connection point right here. So the three things I'm thinking about going with: a two-person swing, so like a bench type swing that you might see on the back of a porch. So a two-person sit-down swing. The next one is a four-person swing with a table in the center. So if you can imagine a table right in the center, one swing, one set of seats on one side facing in, and one set of seats on this side facing in, so that the two parties are facing each other, and they got a nice table in the middle where you can eat or have some drinks or something like that and just kind of rock back and forth. Those are pretty cool too. That would be a lot more extensive for me to have to build that. So I'm still thinking about that one. The third one is a bed, some type of like a lounge bed made out of like wood that'll just rock back and forth with pillows and stuff on it. So that's my third idea. And so I'm really thinking, I'm not real sure what I want to do yet. The other thing is that I have seen where those beds turn into chairs, so you could just lift like half of it up and it will turn into a chair. That's kind of cool, but I don't know. I'm just gonna have to think about it and see, because I'm not real sure what I want to do yet. But there will be something for me and my wife to just kind of chill out on this side and be able to just watch our kids play and do some stuff like that. So, all right, I think we will go ahead and get started. First thing we are going to do, actually, what I'm going to do is I got these tubes over here. These are concrete tubes. And this is what we're going to build the mounts for the bottom of that swing set. So I'm going to try and get these on my bandsaw and cut these. I need them to be about 1.5 feet each. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm going to see if I can hold it in place, maybe, and see if my bandsaw will get through these things. After that, we're going to start chopping up the rest of that metal. All right, got to make sure that we turn our coolant off. We got our blade adjusted. I'm gonna get this thing in here. I'm gonna tighten it up a little bit. I can't tighten it up that much, and then see if I can just hold it by hand and then cut through. So we'll see. All right, here we go. Wish me luck. All right, that worked awesome. I don't even think I really even needed to hold this in place. Looks like we got just a little piece hanging on there at the end. There it is. That is a perfect cut. I'm really impressed with that. So, what this also shows me is that I could cut a 12-inch round bar, full thick sheet of stock of round metal in this machine, no problem. I have plenty of clearance. I have another about a good 1.25 inches right there on the top. So that's about max, because I don't think they make like 12 1.25 inches maybe. But 12 inches of a round, solid round bar or 12-inch pipe, I could cut on this thing, no problem. So that's kind of cool for me to get to see that also. So really happy with this. I've got 3 more to do. Okay, this is a drop piece. This is a leftover, but we're going to save this because I could see some potential in this. I don't know what we could do with it, but something. It could either be like a base or a metal structure, a metal sculpture. It could even be like a flower pot where we could carve out the center and pour something in there. I don't know. What are your ideas? We can do something with this. What do you think? But we'll save it. That's a wrap. Okay, now we're gonna lay out these tubes. I've got some marks on the floor that I have as my reference points, and then I measured out. So I've got a mark here and a mark here. I got 2 more on the other side. I laid them out 5 by 10 and then I squared them up. So remember, again, you got to cross measure these things. And it took me a while to get them dialed in. I'm about 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch off all the way around. But these are 12 inches in diameter. So, and the square tubing is only 4 inches. So I'll be plenty fine. I'll catch it close enough to the center. I want them to be as center as possible, but I shouldn't have a problem catching it. So I'm gonna lay out reference marks. I'm gonna get my tube in here and I'm gonna center it up. I just kind of eyeball it, get it as center as possible. And I'll do all 4 of them like this. Then I will spray paint the inside, and it will give me a good reference for where my feet need to end up. And so as long as they match here, then when I go to install them at home, I should be good to go. All right, let's take them off and see how it looks. So I painted the outside, gives me a good reference, and then I still have my center point there in the middle still visible. There you go. There's our concrete pads. Now we are ready to start erecting this thing. Get it built up. Okay, we got this 20-foot stick. We got to cut it exactly in half I already measured it. It's 20 feet and 1 inch. So we need to cut it to exactly 10 feet and a half inch. All right, I think I got it. I'm gonna do one last measure just to make sure. We're good, ready to cut. All right, now I need to cut the angle. I have everything marked, but now I need to cut this angle here. So the nice thing about this bandsaw is it's a mitering head saw. So what that means is that a more common bandsaw, you would actually move this bed, would have to move, or it would have a vise, and the vise would move so that you could get these angles. The problem with that is it takes up a lot of room, because if I was going to swing this all the way over there, it would end up hitting my wall. This would end up hitting the wall. So on this, the bed, the vise stays stationary, and the actual head will swivel. So I don't know what degree this is, so I'm just going to find it. I'm going to line it up, and then I'm going to cut every one of them at that same degree. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect, because I'm gonna put a plate over the top of this, so it's gonna get welded closed, so I can fill it with weld metal if I'm off too much. All right, I think we got it. I'm gonna go ahead and set this stop in place also. And that way, the next one, all I have to do is push it up against the stop and then cut it right where it's at. All right, we're ready to go. It looks like this ended up being a 76-degree angle. I had to stop it. If you look over here, this the saw was coming down on my control unit. The other nice thing I like about this is that you can move this control unit wherever you want, so out of the way. Now, most control units are fixed stationary where you can't hit them, and they're usually behind the machine. And I don't really like them behind the machine. I like them in front so that I can operate and then get out of the way if I need to, or if there's an emergency I can run out. You can't do that with the control unit behind the machine. But the nice thing is I can move this anywhere I want. If I want to work on the other side, I can move it to the other end. If I want to get closer and work closer to the work, I can pull it up. So that's what I'm going to do this time. Pull it up closer to the work so it clears it, and then we'll continue with the cut. You can also see how close I am to that stop there. We barely cleared that stop. If I would have had much more of a drastic angle there, I would have chopped the corner of my stop off, which I probably would have been fine with anyways. But we cleared it. This really came out perfect. I got a good flat edge right here, which gives me a lot of meat to grab onto whenever I weld. So when I put a plate on top of this, I've got a lot of meat here to grab and weld. Whenever you have a sharp corner and you're trying to weld on that corner, you can burn through that really easily. So this was a real nice cut here. Okay, I'm going to turn this around, do the other side, and then I've got 4 more to do, or 3 more to do after this. Once you get it set up, it's easy. We're ready to go. Okay, I'm gonna turn this around, do the other side, and then I've got 4 more to do, or 3 more to do after this. Once you get it set up, it's easy. We're ready to go. Okay, now I need to cut the slots out for the square tubing for the top rail to sit on top. So this is going to be the A-frame, and that square tubing is going to drop right in place all the way through, because I don't want to cut that 20-foot stick. I don't want to cut that. I want that to be a solid piece. That's where all my strength is. I want it one straight solid piece. So I'm going to notch this all out on all 4 of the legs here, and then we can fit them up and see how things look. And I am using the plasma cutter to cut this out. It's a Power Max 45. And I really love this thing. It really makes it easy. So I cut these pieces out because I'm going to use them as templates on the other side. I've got these plates. These are going to be the feet for the legs, and I need to drill a hole because they're going to get anchored into those bases. I've got 4 of them. These are 1/4 inch plates. They're 6 inches wide by 8 inches long. And I'm just going to go ahead and drill all of them at the same time. All right, here we go. All right, that went pretty smooth. Now we need to open that hole up. this is the bolt that's going in there. So I'm not sure if it's quite big enough. We'll give it a shot and see. Well, let me think. It's not quite big enough. Let me see if I can find another drill bit. We'll give this one a shot. I don't know how sharp this one is. I think it's bent. Yeah, that's bent. Give this a shot. I know this one's not sharp at all, so I don't know if it's going to work. Let's see if it's not bent too. No, that one's not straight either. Oh, well, let me think. We'll try it. We'll just have to go real easy. Maybe it'll make it through. All right, I made it, but I didn't like it. That was kind of scary. It was bouncing around, and it's just, I had my finger on the emergency stop just in case this thing snapped or anything. So I'm just gonna go ahead and throw these 2 bits away, get rid of them. That'll force me to go buy a new one. All right, legs are done. Now we're ready to go prep the legs for the top rail. The notches are done. They came out really nice. They're pretty uniform. I'm pretty happy with it. They don't look like much right now, but once we get them laid out and get the feet separated the way they're supposed to, these things should fit up nicely. We'll find out. So you can see how this is coming together now, and our top rail should slide in place. Just like that. Drop in. I think we're good. Now I've got a nice good area to weld on. So, one thing though is I can't weld this up because if you notice these aren't touching. So what I'm going to have to do, which is what I probably need to do anyways, is I probably need to run a gusset inside here so that I can weld up that gusset. It'll add more strength to the overall structure, and it'll allow me to have these legs stand up freely without the top beam in place. So I think that's the next step, is to cut this gusset out and get it welded up. But overall, looks really nice, looks good. I'll show you the front end. So my thought on here was that I'm just gonna run a flat plate over the top of this, and this needed to be as straight as possible. That's why we had to cut those angles out of it, and it turned out really nice. That's about as straight as you could ask for. And I'll put a plate on top of that, weld it up all solid, but we can't do that until the top rail is in there. That's why I can't put it in there first. So we're gonna go ahead and do the gusset to get these things ready to install. All right, let me go look for some plates so we can get these drawn out. I got the gusset cut out. I ended up cutting a 75-degree angle, and all I did was I cut an angle on one side, and then I flipped the entire thing around, and then I got the other angle on the other side, and that's what made these gussets here. So let's go test fit. They should fit right in here. And that's not too bad. A little bit more space than I would ultimately like on the top end. You can kind of see that space there, but I can fill that in. That's not going to be a problem. So I'm going to use this 2-inch piece of scrap here to center that up, and then that way it's nice and flat. Just like that, and we're gonna weld it up. I made sure these ends here were exactly even, so this is a triangle. So trig tells you that a triangle has two sides are the exact same angle. So I measured them with the right angle here, and they're exactly 3 inches from this right angle on the bottom. Did the same thing. This side, we got 3 inches, so I know this is a perfect triangle. And we're gonna weld this up. Once we get this done, we're gonna lay the other one directly on top and weld it the exact same way. All right, let's get started. ready for the next one. These edges are razor sharp. I just tried to pick it up and I just sliced my thumb open. So you gotta be careful when these things come off the bandsaw. I really want to get me a belt, a grinding belt, so that I can grind those down real quick. Or I could do it with the grinder. I just didn't want to mess with it, and now I cut myself. So you gotta be careful. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. This thing should slide in out of place, easy. So now I need to make or cut the top plates, and those are going to be like 7 3/4 inches long to cap this off. All right. All right, now I need to cut the mounting bases for the swings. This is a 1/2-inch plate. Well, it's 1/2-inch flat stock. I'm going to cut 2-inch sections, so that's 4 inches wide. I'm going to cut 2-inch sections for every eye bolt that's going to mount into this. And I think I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I need 8 of these. Actually 9. I need 9 of these. Here are all the mounting bases or mounting plates. So we're going to drill and tap 1/2 inch by 13th coarse thread tap right in the center of this. And then this will get welded to the top rail, and that's where we will attach a eye bolt to add the accessories. We're going to use our parallels so that it'll set inside of the vise here. Then we will line this up with the edge, and every one of them will be that way so that we know we're in the same spot for all of them. I already have my drill bit in here. It's a 27/64. That's the drill bit size for a half inch thread. Let's get a tape and see if we can get this centered. We got 2 inches to be centered. And then 1 inch the other direction. Now we will lock our table in place. We're ready to go. to switch over to the tap function and get this tap in place. And we will power tap this hole. Well, that's not right. Well, now I'm stuck. All right, my chuck's giving me some problems. It'll drill okay, but it's not wanting to tap. So we've got it started. We're just gonna hand tap this, and we'll probably have to hand tap the remaining of them, which is gonna suck, but and that's a 1/2 inch by 13 hole. I've got 8 more to go. I'm gonna be here a while. We'll come back whenever I have these done. Woo, that sucked. Ooh, all right. I'm about a foot away from my mark. Ooh, that was tough. Okay, I think we're ready to weld this thing. I just gotta be careful when I get my hood on that this thing doesn't fall on me. It's freestanding right now, so it's pretty dangerous. If this thing hit me in the head, that'd probably be it. Ooh. I'm getting straighter than that. We're ready to weld it up.